This is the Situation Room. We are live on Spice FM, KTN, on YouTube, on Facebook. You're live streaming the show as well on digital radio platforms. If you tune into, for example, like Radio Garden and elsewhere, you will catch us. So we broadcast from Mombasa Road, the Standard Group Center, to the world, raising issues that matter to all of us as human beings. For example, on Fridays, our conversations are usually around health matters, and we call it Health Friday Conversation. Today, we want to talk about the human papillomavirus, the HPV, and we have a guest in the studio. Her name is Anne Boraya. She is a nurse midwife and an immunization advocate. She's in the studio. Anne, good morning.
Good morning to you.
How are you?
I'm fine.
Welcome to the hot seat of the Situation Room.
Thank you.
Yeah, you as a midwife, you're used to dealing with emergency cases and cases where, it's a matter of life and life, right?
Yeah, yes.
So here we are. We'll be talking a lot about HPV. You'll educate us a lot about HPV. Our colleague CT Muga is not in today, but every week CT goes to one African country. He mines proverbs from that country. Then he brings a proverb a day from that country. This week, the assignment was in Senegal, and he's given me the proverb for the day. So your job, first assignment, is listen to the proverb and then give us your interpretation of that proverb. Are you ready?
Yes.
Senegal, you know the country called Senegal?
Yes.
It's been in the news recently.
Yeah.
It's in West Africa. Now, the people of Senegal, the Wahenga, came up with this proverb and said, if you wait for tomorrow, tomorrow comes. If you don't wait for tomorrow, tomorrow comes.
Mm-hmm.
The end. Huh?
Yeah.
What's your interpretation of it?
Tomorrow must come.
Come what
Whether
may.
you wait for it or you do not wait for it.
Come
it is
what
there.
may,
Yeah.
tomorrow will come.
Yes.
What do you think the bigger lesson here is?
We should be always focused and think about our future, because we know that whether we stay or we do not stay, or whether we work or we do not work, tomorrow will still come. So we should be looking at a higher. We should be aiming higher.
Just prepare anyway, because it's going to come.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, you are a nurse midwife and an immunization advocate. Let's start with, many people assume these things, but let's not assume. Who's a nurse midwife?
Okay, a nurse midwife, I conduct midwifery services. That is, I do deliveries and also ensure that mother and baby go home safely. Yeah.
What does that entail?
It entails about pregnancy, from conception to the pregnancy. I walk through with the mother all through up to the time she gives birth to a baby.
So you're actually involved in the antenatal journey of this mother?
Yes.
All the way?
All the way to delivery. Then after that, I also follow them up with the immunization.
Okay.
Yeah, so to ensure again they're protected against all the immunizable vaccines.
And what does a doctor do? The OBGYN?
Doctor, we work together. It's a team. We have to work together as a team. And now for them, they come in, especially when there is a complication, or also sometimes we just collaborate together.
What kind of training do you go through?
Nursing.
Okay.
For you to qualify as a midwife, you have to undergo through the now nursing, basic nursing, then now specialize into midwifery, then, yeah.
Okay. So why did you choose to be an advocate for immunization?
Okay, I realized that vaccination, it saves life. I base on prevention. I believe on prevention. So for me, because I've worked with babies who have been delivered and also the ones who have gotten the vaccines, and the way after we were born, that is, like right now, immunization was started like 50 years ago. And for it, it protects. So I believe in prevention is better than cure. So that's why I want to advocate, especially for vaccine preventable diseases, so that each and every child gets the immunization. Yeah.
Okay. So on average, how long have you been in this field?
Okay. I've been here for the last 13 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
So in 13 years, if you were to give an average of the number of babies that you delivered, month on month, babies that you've delivered, what numbers would we be looking at?
It's almost 1 million.
Almost 1 million babies
Yeah.
by yourself.
Yes.
So, of these 1 million babies over the last 13 years, how many of them would you say have gone through immunization or been vaccinated?
I believe all of them have gone through immunization because we give health talks to our mothers. Also during delivery, we tell them that what they anticipate to get. Once the child has been born, we take them through all the immunizations that they're supposed to receive. Yeah, from birth till up to 5 years, and we still have more.
Because then at 3 to 5, they get their boosters and all of
And
this.
then they move,
Right.
all through, up to adults now.
Yeah.
Because now we introduced also COVID vaccine for the adults.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So-
it's an ongoing process.
Of course. So this is why we asked, because of the 1 million babies that we're talking about, and this is 1 million babies with you, one nurse, right? Having been vaccinated and gone through the cycle of at least the necessary vaccinations. There are your colleagues who do the same thing, but then there is also a lot of babies who don't get immunized. Would you say that these 1 million babies that have been vaccinated, immunized, then have a better shot at life, have had a better shot at life, and have been able to live through the threat of some of these diseases as a result of having been immunized?
Yeah, they live longer, not a shorter. Because now, when at birth, we give BCG vaccine. So BCG protects them from tuberculosis. And you see tuberculosis is in the air. Yeah, so if they are exposed, chances are them getting tuberculosis. And from birth, the immunity of this particular child is still low. So we try so much to ensure that they are reached and they're given the vaccine for them now to have a longer life. Yeah.
Today, we want to talk about HPV, right? And just understanding HPV, getting to know the importance of people knowing about HPV. So let's start from the very basics. What is HPV?
Okay, HPV in full is human papilloma virus, a virus that causes cervical cancer. And the cervix is the opening of the womb. That's where now they get where the HPV thrives. We all have the HPV, but now if it goes through the cervical, now it for the women it affects them and gives cervical cancer.
So at what point should people start getting aware of HPV? You're a midwife. Why are you dealing with HPV issues?
Okay, for us, we are all-round nurses. Yeah, so I'm a midwife, I'm an immunization advocate, and now I deal with immunization also. Yeah, so for HPV, we realize, cervical cancer is one of the killer diseases, and it affects almost 5,000 women, and 3,000 die. It's like we lose almost 9 in every year, every month. We lose almost 9 women. So for HPV, we are looking at a way of expanding life. So in case one gets the vaccine, they are protected from the cervical cancer. It protects almost 70% of the cervical, of the cancers.
So you've seen a drive by government to have the HPV vaccine being distributed, right?
Yes.
To young adolescent girls. And there's been so much, pushback from several quarters on this particular one. I'm sure some of those people have come to you.
Yeah.
And you've heard what their concerns are. So let's start with the concerns that they come with to you, and then we'll start busting those myths. What do they say when they come and ask you about HPV?
Okay, most of them think that we are making the girls to be sexually active when you talk about it. They also think it's a form of family planning, that we want to protect the girls from getting pregnant, and they do not understand about the vaccine. Yeah, so those are the key things that I've heard about.
Why would it seem as though it is something that would want to serve as family planning? Why? Because usually people voice their fears over something they believe to be true, isn't it?
Yeah.
So why would it appear as though the HPV vaccine is a form of family planning? Has something happened in the past whereby it would point to something like that?
No, it's just we call it myths and misconception because they're looking at why are we giving 10 to 14-year-olds? Yeah, that's what I think. And then now our problem was when the vaccine was introduced, we didn't sensitize the community well because it was introduced in 2019. 2019, then 2020, before we cascaded down, COVID came. So we had to do the COVID measures, and then we left the HPV for a while. But now we are back. After now we realize people are not understanding about this HPV. So we are trying to do a lot of health education. We are trying to do sensitization so that we empower people to know exactly what this vaccine is and what it is for.
Why is it given to girls between the age of 9 and 14?
Okay, for girls aged 9 to 14, we presume that they are not sexually active at this particular time, because the infection is through sex, most of it, because now the HPV vaccine, the HPV virus, it's carried by the male. So if this girl now starts engaging into sexual activity, they are at risk of having the cervical cancer. So from that age 9 to 14, we know that these girls are not sexually active, and if they are, they're not that active. Yeah,
we can presume or assume.
Yeah, and yeah, we can assume. And then also for 14, that is 9 to 14 also. For cervical cancer, in case someone is exposed to it, it takes 10 to 20 years for the signs and symptoms to occur. But now for 9 to 14, we are happy that most of them are not engaging into sex.
Okay. So for the other aspect, where a lot of parents, because we did see this, a lot of parents, and also in conjunction with members of religious groups, said that actually what this was advocating promiscuity amongst young girls, because just like you said, the disease or the cancer, or essentially the infection, then is carried through sex, right? So if you get the vaccine, essentially what you're saying is that you're protected, and that essentially you can then go and do as you please. That was the argument that came out. It was very clear. How do we counter that?
Okay, when you get the vaccine, you are getting that protection at that particular time. Then we also need to have preventive measures, because as long as you indulge in having so many sexual partners, you are still at risk of getting the cervical cancer, despite you getting the vaccine. So we keep encouraging also, despite you getting the vaccine, you still need to take the protective measures. Like when it comes also to TB, all of us, we've received the BCG vaccine. But if we keep exposing ourselves to someone who has TB, we'll still get that TB, but in a milder form. So it's same as HPV. So we encourage, especially for our women or the girls, they should go also keep on doing for cervical cancer screenings, especially from age 25 and above. So because once you get screened for the cervical cancer, in case a sign is seen, it can be treated at the
early.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the HPV vaccine is mostly administered to the younger girls.
Yes, age 9 to...
Can an older woman go for an HPV vaccine?
Yes, older women can go, but now they'll not get the strain that we have for the government, because the one that was procured by the ministry is for that age.
It's targeting
that age. Yeah, but we have a different one that is given in private facilities for the ages that are over the 15 years and above.
And that's a different vaccine from the other one?
Yeah, it's the HPV vaccine, but not procured by the government.
Okay. So let's come back now to these young girls. Who's coming to you with questions? Is it the girls or is it their parents? And by parents, is it their fathers or is it the mothers?
Most of the time it is the parents, both the fathers and the mothers. But for the girls, when they're given the health education, because thanks to the government also, we have the school health program. that goes round. They go and also sensitize and health educate our girls and our children in school. So for the parents, I want, because if they're not well sensitized, they have questions about it, which we understand.
Yeah. But from what you hear, we know those kind of concerns. Okay, so this one is sterilization of our young girls. This one is encouraging promiscuity of our daughters. Are parents in denial about their children and their sexual activities?
Yeah.
We are in denial.
Yeah, we are.
So what do you tell the parent? Because that parent is coming to you and thinking, my daughter is so innocent. You want to start talking about sex to my... No, not so soon. And if you start introducing this, then you're planting ideas in her head. What do you tell that parent?
Okay, tell parents, we talk to them that they should also talk to their girls or to their children, because sexuality is there. They are also taken through our reproductive health system, and they are very curious about it. So it is for us to know how to pass the message to them well. But we should talk. I encourage parents to talk to their girls or to their boys about it.
And by the time the parent is coming to you and they have all these concerns, they are not having that kind of conversation with their daughters. Okay? And just because you've told them, I encourage you to go and talk to you, doesn't mean that they're going
to do it.
So if you want them to talk to the girls, how do you convince this parent that it's important to have the sex conversation with the child?
We give them case scenarios of what happens, and for the girls that we've received, also we show them the statistics. You find some of the girls who are 15 or 14-year-old who've come with pregnancy. So we say, or we tell them what is different with your girl or with your boy. Yeah. So the stories,
and they'll tell you, I'm bringing up my child very well. She goes to church. She
understands this thing.
I control the number of places that she goes to. I am completely in control of her time. Hiyo wengine ni wazazi hata hawajui mtoto wako wapi. Halafu anakuja hapa na mimba. Wangu najua mahali yako.
You still need to talk to them well. Give them the situation, the reality of the story. Yeah, hata akisema my baby have been taking good, not all time that they are together with them. And then nowadays we also expose our children phones. We buy them phones. We don't even monitor what they do with the phones. Yeah.
What is the burden right now? I mean, I know we've had this conversation before, and one of the things that we talk about is how important it is to continue talking about, because that's how we can get folks into preventive care more than curative, because that's where the health direction should be going. So we spend a lot less. We in terms of resources, and also then in terms of time and the burden on families. Cancer, cervical cancer, of course, being one of the big threes for women in this country. So if we're talking about preventative care, where are we in the conversation, and what is the burden? Because we're talking about 9 women dying every day from cervical cancer. That's a big deal.
Yeah, it is.
It's a very big deal. And then we're also talking about 9 of these women who have died, and for a cancer that takes 20 years to manifest, that means they got infected a very long time ago. But here we are with the opportunity to talk about it and to talk about some of the things that lead up to it. So who's at risk in the country today, and what is actually being done for real, to make sure that we bring those numbers down?
Okay, the risk group is women.
Of course, I mean.
Yeah, it's women of all ages. I can't say it's from this particular group. But what we encourage, especially when it's now they're 10 to 14, we encourage people to get the vaccine, because at least the protection is almost up to 70%. And then when it comes now to women now our age, we encourage them to go for cervical cancer, at least cervical cancer screening, yearly basis, so that once it is detected early, the treatment will be easier.
Okay.
But if you come in late, because for cervical cancer, it's silent. For someone to come out is when now they have the signs and symptoms, which is now during the progressive stage. So it's always good you just come early, get screened, and then get early treatment.
You as a midwife definitely see women across the spectrum coming to you, whether it's care, whether it's natal care, pre or post, as well as things to care of their own bodies for women. One of the things that comes up in discussion around screening is the cost of it. But we've also heard about is it vinegar? Is it vinegar? A vinegar test or something, is it not? Yes.
Yeah.
There's a vinegar test which we are told is actually quite accurate and it is much cheaper. Now, with the bringing in of this particular test, do we see more women coming out to get screened? Because before, maybe just a year ago, what we were told is that women are not getting screened. Women don't go for the pap smear. Women don't do this because there was a time a pap smear was 7,000 bob, 5,000 shillings. Maybe came down to 1,500 shillings, but that is still very expensive for the majority of women who are in a high risk area or high risk demographic. So do we see now with the introduction of this vinegar patch test that more women now are coming out to get screened? Or do we understand, are we getting to the place where we are understanding the importance of screening?
Okay, for the test, it's free of charge, especially in the government facilities. And
The pap smear now?
not the pap
Okay,
smear.
just the screening of this vinegar
That
one.
the vinegar, because
Okay.
that one is accurate since you get the results immediately. So once we get the results, we do the treatment also. If there's a stage that we can do the treatment there and then. But if now you've gone into advanced stage, is when now we request you to go for more or for pap smear. But also we have our community health promoters that we introduced the other day. We empower them. We train them. We also take them through the cancer about cancer screening, about the cancer infection, about advocating and health educating the community, so that if the community is aware about this particular about cancer, they'll come by themselves to get screened. Like for our place now here in Nairobi, majority are coming for the tests. Because they've been sensitized, they now understand the impact and they know the importance of coming for screening for early detection.
Our Health Friday conversation today is around HPV, the vaccine, from a midwife's perspective. The mistakes to avoid. We'll get into those mistakes that we need to avoid shortly after this break. Our guest, Anne Boraya, is a nurse midwife and an advocate for immunization. She works in government and she has seen very many, 13 years, seen the delivery and overseen the midwife, the delivery of close to 1 million babies. Mistakes to avoid when you're thinking about immunization, vaccination, and particularly HPV. What are these common mistakes that people make?
By coming in late, okay. Some, when they get the vaccine and they do not complete their doses, we call it the defaulters. So we encourage them, if you've started the vaccines, even including COVID vaccination, ensure you finish the doses. Because when you get half the dose, it will not do its work.
Right.
So most of the mistakes people do, they do not complete the
Why
doses.
do they not complete?
You know, when it comes to injection, people fear the fact of a needle. So when they think of coming for the injection, majority they tend to forgo. But it is important. They need to come.
And they think, I already got the one, surely.
Yeah, why do I need another one? I already got it.
So it is important when you complete now the doses, is when now you get the whole set of protection. But if you just go for one, you are halfway. It will not protect you.
Okay.
Yeah.
When you take a vaccine, is there 100% surety that you will not get the disease, or are we saying that you will get if you do get infected, that it will be a milder form and that it will not affect you to the degree that it would had you not been vaccinated? What exactly are we saying? Because we've heard, okay, let's just take, something like the mumps or chickenpox. Right now we know that there is a vaccination, the combination for the mumps, measles, rubella, which causes chickenpox. But we still find some children getting chickenpox. they've taken the vaccine, right? So maybe they'll get a milder form. It would not have been as severe if they didn't take it. Do we see the same thing with other diseases, such as cervical cancer, for example? Can I get this vaccination and still get cervical cancer?
Okay, when you give the vaccine, it doesn't give 100% protection. It gives almost 99 to 98 protection, or 95. Some they give 95. So we have that leeway. And once you get the vaccine, if you get now the infection, you'll get a milder form of the infection. But we keep encouraging, after you've gotten the vaccine, also have the preventive measures that entails with the particular disease. Let's say like for cervical cancer, once you get the vaccine, we are looking at the disease burden being lowered in the next years. And we also need to encourage that they should avoid having so many sexual partners, that is the vice versa also. If I have a spouse who has so many sexual partners, I'm also at risk.
I can imagine.
Me as a woman, if I have also so many sexual partners, I'm also at risk. So we need to continue with health education. It is a continuous thing. Yeah.
Something happened over the last weekend. This was raised by what is that thing called now? Syndemic. The National Syndemic Diseases Control Council, right? Former National AIDS Control Council. And they're talking about the rally in Naivasha. They sent people out there with condoms and said, you know what, protect yourself. If you must have sex, then use protection. And the report back is people took the condoms, they didn't use the condoms. But what they were seeing is a spike in the demand for PEP, post-exposure prophylaxis. That means that there's an attitude about sex in the country. With even this one, just like Ndu had asked earlier, once you get the vaccine, you feel, okay, so I've been vaccinated, so now, I can expose myself a bit. But are you seeing a trend in the change of attitude towards protected and unprotected sex? With all these things nowadays, you have PEP, you have PrEP, you have a vaccine for HPV. You then get medication even if you contract HIV. Is there a change?
Change is inevitable, and change is still there, Annie. So it depends with you as a person. So all we need to do, once we share the information, you have the information, but you don't follow what you do with the information. Because now, if, let's say now for the scenario of Naivasha, so maybe they preferred PEP than using a condom. So it depends with how someone gets the information. But all we need to do is to ensure that we've given you the information, and also we've given you the consequences and health education about it.
But that's dangerous, though, isn't it? Isn't that dangerous sometimes for something that would have such severe consequences? Because we're looking at something that actually is quite vigorous in terms of medication when we talk about PEP. A 28-day cycle of taking it daily for 28 days to make sure that this exposure that you've experienced then is not detrimental to your health, right? But we're seeing that folks would rather go that way than wearing a condom. And this is the difficult thing that we speak about, because we are saying that this kind of activity could lead to some of these things that we talk about. If we're talking about the male being a carrier of HPV, for example, and we talk about young women from the ages of that 14 to 21 being at high risk when it comes to the contracting of this disease or this virus that could lead to cancer, I think we're swimming in very dangerous waters. And should not be a little bit more than saying, look, I can lead the horse to water, but I cannot make it drink. In this case, wouldn't we be in a better situation when we're saying, actually, you know what? Here's the cup. I'm going to shove it down your throat because you must drink this water. Because if you don't, you will die. This is not. We're flirting with death here. And we're being very careless in our decisions when it comes to what we do with this kind of behavior. Should we not be a little bit more insistent than saying, well, I've given you the information. What you do with it is up to you?
Okay, the government needs to emphasize on it. We need to be persistent. Also, because we know I think this generation that we have, they decide on what to do. They are the ones who have, it's like they have their own life for their life. So all we need to do is to emphasize and also to give them the health talk, give them the scenarios, also give them the life stories that of everything that is happening, so that for them to now make their own decisions. Because you find like most of them who went there maybe for those activities, they don't even inform their parents, especially our young ones. They just go what you need. What happens is you just find they've already done it. Yeah. So we just need to keep on health education, sensitization. Yeah.
Maybe there should be a conversation about changing the messaging. Maybe it's a mode of delivery that just is outdated. If the mode of delivery is you come in and you give a lecture about the importance of ABCs and use a condom, and yet people have access to all these other conflicting and sometimes contradictory information, then maybe there should be a change in how we deliver the message, right?
Yeah, like nowadays we are trying to change, especially now we know they're into TikToks, they're into Snapchats. Yep. So we try to share the information. Also, we try using the influencers so that at least they are able to get to them. Because I believe the young ones, if they see I am a role model, they think everything that I do is right, whether I'm doing it wrong or something. But we use them to at least get to our young ones. Yeah.
What do we see? And I wanted to just go back to the practice. Do we see, for example, and I know it just sounds crazy, even as you midwife women, do we see that women who have cervical cancer still are able to carry a pregnancy?
I've rarely met that, but they can still carry if it is in the early stages. Yeah.
And can you do treatment for cervical cancer while a woman is pregnant?
Okay, it will depend with the massiveness of the infection. So if it is in the early stage, especially when we are using there's a need for freezing the infection, but most of the time we wait for them to deliver, because also the cervix, that is the opening of the womb, where now when during pregnancy it's closed. So if you tamper with it, sometimes it may tend to lose the pregnancy. So we wait, they deliver. But if it is in that a progressive stage, sometimes even the pregnancy will not go to term. Yeah, but if it is in the early stages, we just give them time to have their babies, and then now they undergo the treatment.
There's a question, and I think it is an important one to address, that if we look at the range of cancers that are affecting people in this country today, breast cancer being number 1, cervical cancer being number 2, and then you have the prostate and those other ones that come in. I believe the other one is leukemia, and then the other one was esophageal cancer. So you have those are your top 5. Why are we putting so much emphasis on cervical cancer in the manner in which we have been over the last couple of years, even though it's not one of the biggest ones? We know it's the number 2 for women, but why is there an increased emphasis on cervical cancer now?
Okay, there's because there is the vaccine, and also there is the screening. And for cervical cancer, as I can repeat again, it's because the cervix, it's not easy for someone to know if they have the infection, because it is silent. So the moment they come out is when now it is in the progressive stage. So we really emphasize on it, so that because also where the cervix is situated, now even for the treatment and everything, it's a bit hard. So that's why we encourage people to come. And then there's a preventive measures on it, and also there's the early detection part of it. When it comes also for breasts, the breast is now in the outside. It's very easy. Someone will notice there is a change in my breast and report. But you see, for cervical cancer, not easy. Yeah.
They catch it late.
Yeah, most of them,
killer.
they come in late, at a later stage. Yeah.
Is there much awareness on cervical cancer? The women that you've dealt with, the people that you've dealt with, both men, women, and even young girls and young boys, is there much awareness, proper awareness on cervical cancer, on how one could get cervical cancer, on how screening is done for cervical cancer, or treatment for cervical cancer?
Yeah, we've created awareness. Right now, at least the changes, I've seen so many women are coming for it, especially with our community health promoters. After we've already told them about the cervical cancer, they go to the community, talk about it. Every time when a mother visits our health facilities, we also encourage them to our health workers to talk about it. When they come also for other services, especially for family planning, because most they come for, they want to do child spacing. We also encourage them to do the cervical cancer screening.
Is it an easy conversation? Is it a straightforward conversation?
Yeah, it flows.
This is a woman who's coming and she's coming for family planning, and then you bring in cervical cancer. Is it one that they're willing to, just move into easily, or are there some barriers to this talk that you want us to have?
No, when it comes now to a mother coming for family planning, it's very easy, because now we are talking matters reproductive health.
Yeah.
So we also tell them about it, and majority, by the way, they change their minds and get screened for it.
Which means that initially there's some resistance.
Yeah, initially we had, but right now most of them, they go for it.
What was the initial resistance about?
Now how to do the tests. Now you have to sit in a position, then there's something that needs to be inserted. So majority were complaining it's so painful. And also there was lack of awareness, knowledge about the cancer.
Is there more information out there? And what rings in my head is that there was a lady who sat in this chair, and she talked about the fact that she had probably sat with cervical cancer for 10 years, and she did not know until she knew, right?
Yeah.
But the truth of the matter is that she sat with it even after knowing that something was wrong, because there was no way on earth that she was going to be able to get the treatment for it, because it was too expensive. So she had to make a decision between, should I go and get treated for this thing that, if I'm walking around, you're looking at me, you're not going to know that I have it. I don't feel sick. I don't feel pain. And that's the thing that she said. I didn't feel any pain at all, right? There were some manifestations, and that's when she did go for a checkup, that she was well advanced in this, because then obviously she knew that there was something wrong at some point with some of the things that she would see or hear, like discharge and odor and things like that. She did then go and get. But what for her, the balance was, look, even with the checkup, I still feel no pain.
Yeah.
I don't have headaches, I don't have fever, I don't have pain. So will I go and spend the 7,500 shillings for treatment that they're telling me? Or will I continue washing clothes so that I can feed my children? As a midwife, you have a lot of conversations with people on that same line. How do you tell them? How do you say? What kinds of conversations do you have when you also know the statistic that 9 women are dying every day? But also women have to make the difficult decision. Not just women and men have to make the difficult decision, because it's for their families.
Yeah.
Go get treated, spend the money to get treated, look for the money to get treated, take care of your family or die. That's what we are saying, essentially, isn't it? How do you have that conversation? Because it's all part of awareness spreading. It's all about preventative care. What do you say?
We just give them the situation of the story, because I'll still say, for cervical cancer, it's silent. You'll not feel any pain. You'll not even know, as she had told you. But once you get tested, when it is in an early stage, it will not cost you a lot of that money. Because when you do now, the treatment that we do it for free in the government facilities. That is when it is in an early stage. So we still health educate them. We still tell them the consequences, because now if they come now that when it has already metastatized or it has already spread, they'll still incur that cost of, because I know it's very, very expensive to mainly for cervical cancer. So the early, the better. And then now we use like someone like her now, the people who are tested, and then maybe they did not get, now they're in the full blown. They act as our advocate to encourage now the others who do not know, so that when they look at them, when they talk to them, they get to understand the consequences.
You've said something a number of times, but I think it has just hit me now, that the treatment in government facilities is free.
Yeah.
The treatment for cervical cancer
at early
stage in government facilities is free.
Yes.
What does free mean? I have to ask that question because what does free mean?
Okay, they don't pay anything.
No. Education is free in Kenya at some level. There's still some money we come and pay in schools. There's still some money we bring to school. So that's what I'm asking. When you say it is free, you have tested, somebody has been found to be positive and has cervical cancer. Do I show up at facility X, Mama whatever hospital, with my test results and treatment starts, I do not pay a shilling?
Okay, at an early stage, that is in our level 2, the small facility, that is our health centers. So if they walk now to the level 5 and level 6, that is now the hospital, let's say, for example, like Mbagathi, Kenyatta, they'll incur some payment. But if it is at the health center and it is in that early stage, that the treatment can be done at the health center.
And what treatment are we talking about that occurs at the health center?
It's called thermoablation.
That's the one for freezing.
Yeah, for freezing. That one for freezing. It's frozen at the health center, and the woman goes home without paying even a shilling.
Okay.
Yeah. But now when it comes now to the lip or these other treatments, and it's done also in either KNH or also Mbagathi, our big hospitals, that's when they can incur a cost. Yeah.
This freezing, can we look at that for a minute? What exactly does the freezing do in the system? Stop the spread of the cancer? Does it diminish the cells, freeze them off? What exactly happens?
It freezes the cells. But now she has to come for a second and a third. Then we will look at it and also do the test, also the VIA, we call it the VIA, so that at least we are able to check if it is okay.
Okay.
Evans is saying, with men being the transmitters of HPV, even as we focus on vaccination and sensitization of women, shouldn't men come into the equation, especially in sensitization? How much sensitization of men is happening around the issue of HPV?
For men, their careers, it is there with them, but it is not affecting them. So what we encourage their sensitization is that they should at least have one sexual
Stick
partner.
to one partner.
Yes.
At a time.
Yeah, because
Or
you not
forever.
know who
Is
has
it- what
the
are we talking
infection.
about?
Not at a time. Not at a time, like forever. If I'm married, let me stick to my wife. Yeah.
So stick to one partner.
Yes, to one partner.
And use of condoms?
Also, use of condoms, yes, but for the HPV, it is sometimes I call it ni jeuri sana, because also with condoms it can still penetrate and someone can carry it.
What? This is interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, so they carry it, but they don't
they
get
do not.
infected by it.
Yes.
Obviously, okay.
But
It
the
is
condom
silent.
can still leak.
Not leaking, because sometimes it depends with how will I
The
put
user.
this? Yeah.
So depending on how the user is using it, you could still end up
getting the
spreading.
virus in him, especially during the Kimaliza. So
The removal, the change,
removals, there's a way they
how
can
you're
still-
handling. I see. So then the men, it's also important then to have this conversation. I think that's the point that Evans is raising, that how much conversations are happening when men are seeing doctors and clinicians to be told, okay, remember, you have a wife, right? There's something called HPV. You need to be aware of this. You need to know that if you have multiple partners, you run the risk of actually spreading HPV to your wife. She's okay now. We think she's gone through screening, but you don't know,
But,
right?
yeah.
So how much of that is happening? Does HPV ever come up in conversations with men?
You know, even getting to men, sometimes it's tough.
I don't think I've ever heard a man discuss or even
Talk about it. They've even known about
imagine
it.
that they know
About
that
HPV,
Yep.
their carriers.
there may be a conversation about HPV out there, but then for men to know, I think if we took a survey here, how many
few.
men would know that they would be carriers of HPV? I don't think anybody. I could be assuming. Did you know before today?
Well, yes, I've known before today. But in terms of having a conversation with a health professional around it, no. Not in school, not after school. The conversation around, it's important for men to be sensitized on you are a carrier.
Yes.
And you are the one who runs the risk of spreading this. And this is what you need to do. So we stop the spread of this. 9 women dying, did you say every day?
Every
or
day.
month? That's a very high number.
It's important enough to have, I would say.
Yeah.
Yeah. It is important we talk to men also.
Okay, so men come
A
to
lot
you.
of sensitization.
During antenatal, men also come with their wives. Do you have that conversation with them?
Yes, when they come with their wives, we take that opportunity because, accessing men.
We
if
are
you see-
accessible, Bana. We are all over the place.
There you are.
yeah, so when they come with their wives, we take that advantage. We take them through all the counseling. Also, we encourage them to do the HIV tests if maybe they are not done. And also, we talk to them. We tell
Okay.
them.
Mohi is asking, so if you only take the first dose of the HPV vaccine, and then for some reason then you stop, if you now say, okay, goodness, I made that mistake, I don't want to make the mistake again, and you come back, do you start or do you continue?
Okay, for HPV vaccine, we give it after every 6 months. So if you got the first dose now, you'll be due in the next 6 months. So if you come back, maybe you forgot, and you are within that period of, you've not gone past a year, we'll still give you.
The second one.
Yeah, the second one.
Okay.
But if you're past 1 year, then we'll render it as it. did
We
not
start
work.
from the
We will
beginning.
Start again. Yeah.
Okay. Well, we thank you very much, Anne, for coming to join us today and to tell us more about the HPV vaccine and to tell us all about vaccination and the importance of immunization. Anne Boraya is a nurse, midwife, and also she calls herself an advocate for immunization. She works in communities with the government and has done a lot of work on this. She's been our guest. Keep it here for more conversations.
This is The Situation Room, the only way to start your day.